got some fresh new young
Hey,
talent
I'm
doing some
Luis.
things
And
that I
I'm
know you
Luis.
haven't
And you're
heard
listening
before.
to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit.
If you'd like to learn more about how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com.
Let's go!
Let's go. How was that?
That was smooth.
I think that was smooth. I think that was the first time in 3 days that I don't mess up the intro.
Yeah, that was pretty smooth. So, Luis Daniel, for those that are listening right now, tell me, what are we going to be talking about today?
So today we're going to be talking on how to publish consistently while building your content safety net. So as we work with a ton of businesses, brick and mortars, online businesses, one of the things and one of the problems that we see a lot is the consistency.
Oh, for sure. I think it's something that sprouts from people's fear to publish.
Yes.
But once people take action, it's like everything else. Is staying consistent is the most difficult part of anything.
Yeah. Think about, you play soccer, right?
I think I did.
You play sports.
I think I did.
How many times a day or how many times a week do you practice?
I mean, we were pretty rigorous about it, but we try to practice pretty much every day.
Yeah.
From Monday to Friday. But it was difficult. It was extremely difficult to get up and do it. And sometimes we wouldn't do it. I'm sorry, Dad. But it is that, like, the difference between top players in the world that make it professionally and those that don't is not that some have more abilities than others. It's just that some stay consistent, practicing day in and day out. You know, that's simple as that.
That's simple as that.
And I think it comes down to anything that you do in life, it's about consistency.
It's about consistency. It's funny, like nowadays we're so used to just having everything so quick, right? And
Yeah.
I think that takes a lot away from the experience of staying consistent. Just because we're so used to quick things, quick rewards.
Yep.
Now we see staying consistent at something negative, right?
Yeah.
My brother
We got
forgot.
the calendar
We
going
got the
on.
calendar. So before we started this episode, I was actually joking around that. Well, not joking around. Last episode, if you guys didn't tune in on YouTube, please go ahead and go check it out because we have so many bloopers and fails happening as we speak. And today, I'm like, Fonzie, we are recording directly from a phone just to show you guys that you don't need fancy equipment. But the thing is, like, he always forgets to turn off the alarms and the
you got
calendars.
the alarm, the calendars, everything
Anyways.
going on in there.
Moving on, back to consistency. So, as we were growing up, our dream was to play professional soccer.
Yep.
And the only way to get there was through staying consistent through the practices. And that's how you get better, really. And it just translated into a ton of stuff. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I think that translates into everything, right?
Well, you were talking about how nowadays we like everything so quick, right? At the moment, we start something and immediately we expect results. I personally think that has been like that because of social media, the rise of social media, where we see these people that we didn't know yesterday and now we see them and it's like, oh, these guys are super famous. And
Yeah.
we see a couple pictures and we judge their whole journey because of a few pictures of a few posts in social media where they were like, oh, I was broke and now, I'm a super millionaire. But it's not like that. Everybody has their own journey, their own struggles. And these people probably stay consistent for a long time, but that's the part that we cannot see. And it's like the analogy of the iceberg that is everywhere, know, where you can see the top of the iceberg and you're like, oh, that's success. But yeah, you don't see what's at the bottom. And at the bottom, not only hard work and all that, but consistency is what holds all that together, right? Because you can be a hard worker, but if you're not consistent about it, still makes no sense.
Yeah, I remember maybe like a month ago or so, I discovered this famous YouTuber. His name is Mark Rober.
Oh, Mark Rober.
Mark Rober. He's amazing. And he does basically one video a month. He used to work for NASA. He put the rover in Mars. He was one of the guys in that team. And then he decided to go do YouTube videos. And right now, every time he drops a video, it's millions of views.
Yeah.
But as I was looking at those videos, I'm like, how is this possible? Like 12 videos a year and this massive audience that he has. Well, guess what? Do you know how long Has he been publishing?
For a long time, probably.
Do you know the exact number?
I don't know the numbers.
I know it. Do you want to know what it is?
Yes, tell me, please.
Say that again.
Tell me, please. Tell me.
So he's been publishing for 10 years. 10 years consistently, one video a month.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So obviously there's parts to that equation. The content is freaking awesome.
I mean, I think it comes, again, consistency. For some people, especially starting out, they think consistency has to be every day at any time, right?
Yeah.
But his consistency created probably a schedule, a routine that lets his followers know when he's going to post, right? Or around what time, what to expect. And those are like topics we're going to move into. But
yeah, so obviously these are super high level content creators, but each one of us if you are listening to this podcast, is because probably you are building an audience. Probably you have an amazing product that you are delivering information, providing a ton of value through content. And one of the key things and one of the key topics that we need to talk about is obviously consistency. So what is that thing? Well, I think that number one thing we've been talking about, right, is consistent content, right? We gave but
the question is how, right? Like,
exactly.
Because we were... when we started our journey, we were like, okay, we need to publish. We actually had an Instagram with a bunch of pictures, but the pictures weren't. They were the typical, like, entrepreneur at first, like the nice quotes with nice pictures that we didn't even own. And they were like, yeah, we'll delete all this, story for another day.
Which, by the way, you should never do. Never, ever, ever delete your content. Your past, because that becomes part of your message.
Yeah, exactly. But we did.
What we did. Yeah.
And I forgot what I was saying.
No, the consistency, right?
Yeah. So the consistency looks different for everybody, right? So we were asking ourselves, like, okay, we cannot be consistent in the way that we were thinking consistency is, what consistency is, right? We thought it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day, like crazy, right? Because our examples was people like Russell Brunson that publish every day, Pen June that publishes like 5 times a day.
The same, even Grant Cardone, right? Like, we started modeling and then we started hacking the way that he publishes, and we saw that he does 3 to 4 times a day. So we're like, shoot, if this guy's like that, how can we like get to that point, right?
Yeah.
But it does take time.
It does take time. And at the same time, you gotta admit you're not gonna be Gary Vee. You're not gonna be Grant Cardone. These guys have teams that spend they spend thousands of dollars in these teams, right? Imagine paying 5 people's salary for them to be constantly producing your content, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you have that capacity time-wise, to create and mentally creative output to create that type of content at that scale?
I mean, think about it. It's teams of 5, 7, even 10 people.
Yeah, if you do have that skill,
please
let us
call
know.
us,
We'll give you a job for sure.
So along that journey, right, like, we started asking the question, how can we, right, produce an amount of content that's similar to that or stay consistent, right? And we were like, okay, we want to be everywhere. We want to be relevant in different platforms at the same time. Maybe not all the platforms, but in a good bit. And how can we achieve that, right? So we started asking that question, and guess what? Questions invite revelations.
Yeah, that's a plug right there for Steve Larson. Thank you.
Steve, thank you. So that allowed us to create a framework around of what we do, so we're able to do this, right? And right now, if you're tuning in live or you're listening to the show, you are witnessing that, and within that week or the next week, you guys are going to start seeing some content coming out of that, from that framework that we decided that was going to be the consistent framework for us today.
So we actually gave it a name, right? To when we asked ourselves that question, we came up with the answer, and we gave it a name. So tell me, what is the name of that kind of like framework? More than a framework, I think is like an idea.
A type,
an idea that you can, like share with others, and then they can use it in their own way. So I guess it's not a framework.
Are we talking about M2M?
No, we are talking about MVC.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's even better.
Okay,
MVC.
Look at this guy.
Okay, so you got me excited right now. Okay, good.
So what's MVC?
MVC?
Tell people that's watching.
M as in mom, V as in Victor, and C as in Camejo, like a last name, right? Is your minimum viable content, right? And minimal viable content in order to stay consistent. So for the longest time, right, we thought that the more you publish in everywhere, doesn't matter what day, doesn't matter what you post, what's the best thing out there. And then we started to discover that platforms want you to stay in the platform. Platforms want security, right? And if you're consistent once a week, they're gonna reward that. If you're consistent publishing 3 times a week, they're gonna help you. If you are consistent 5 times a day, over time, right, they're gonna help you out. Now, the wrong thing here is when you publish 5 times 1 week and then you don't publish anything.
Yeah.
And then you publish again like 2 times and then you don't publish anything. It is insecurity, right? So with our business, we decided, okay, what's gonna be the consistent publishing flow that we can sustain over time? And that for the longest time meant going live once a day, which is what we kind of told you guys about last episode.
Yep.
And then after that, what?
Yeah, so I mean, the minimal viable content too is it has a lot on the back end, right? That we cannot get to it at this point just because we don't have enough time. But it is the kind of like you gotta know your audience, right? In part, I'm gonna summarize this, but you gotta know where your audience is, what they consume, and then what's within your own means that you can create, so you can do the most. You can have the best output with the minimal effort, right?
Yeah. So there's parts to this equation, right? So just to recap, you have to know who your dream client is or your dream audience, so you can create relevant content to them. Then you have to see how much time do you have available, or how many resources do you have available. So that meaning time or money to hire somebody to do that for you.
Yep.
What else?
Well, you gotta see where are they consuming the information, right?
Exactly. What platform, right? Because it's very different to create content consistently for one platform versus consistently for 3 or 4 platforms.
I mean, there's a reason why we're doing a podcast, right?
There is a reason.
The reason is that we
are we gonna share it? Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure. Okay. We know that the people that we want to work with, they listen to podcasts.
Exactly.
So we want to get in front of those people. So why would we be writing blog articles, right? Like it makes no sense. So we need to create the content that they're consuming so we can get right in front of them.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that, because this morning I was actually listening to the Traffic Secrets book by Russell Brunson, which is freaking amazing. I can't wait to have the physical copy. And he was talking about the Dream 100, right? And we'll go into that later. But basically what he was saying is like he was publishing and he was trying to get different audiences in different places. And hold on, rewind. Let's go back. He actually had a podcast called Marketing in the Car, or Marketing in Your Car, or something like that. And then he tried to move that audience from that podcast into his new podcast, which is called Marketing Secrets. And he got a really cool influx of people from one podcast to the other, which was very successful. And then he started publishing in other platforms, asking people from Facebook, asking people from Instagram to go to that podcast. Guess what? That did not work. So he was sitting in a meeting with his team and he was like, guys, how can we like make this happen? We need an audience for that podcast. And all of a sudden he stands up and he says, guys, people that listen to podcasts.
It's pretty simple.
Pretty simple. And the team was like, what are you talking about? That makes like 0 sense. Okay, hold on. Let me explain, he says, right? And then he goes and he's like, look, we are trying to grab people that enjoy other platforms like Facebook, Instagram, whatever other platforms, and convince them that they need to consume content in podcasts. So what he said is like, okay, why don't we go, right? And we tag and we grab people from other podcasts or audiences or people from my Dream 100 to go into my podcast episodes because they already love that type of content.
Yeah. I mean, you need to find that one, I guess, I don't know,
platform that is relevant to what you're doing.
The platform,
right?
But at the same time, where the audience is within that platform, right? So you can go and take advantage of that, right? That can fall under the blue ocean, red ocean theory, right? I mean, that's a whole different topic. Oh, yeah. A massive one. Check Steve Larson. He talks a lot about that. Yeah. He's really good at it. But yeah, exactly. Is that. So again, where are we again with the minimal viable content?
Okay, so going back, reeling in.
The time and effort that you need, right? You need to know where you're gonna post. You need to know your clients.
Yeah.
Right. And that's pretty much it. Right.
And then create a structure around that output that you're gonna put out there, so you can stay consistent. So it was funny, about a couple of weeks ago, we jumped on calls with people that were struggling a little bit with their content creation, right? And it was not about like what they wanted to say. Pretty much, it was like how
can we stay consistent?
How can we stay consistent?
Yeah.
And for each one of them, the answer was completely different, because first off, the people that we were talking to, they did not have the resources to go hire a team. So if you can go hire a team, then you can do a ton of stuff, which is amazing. Yeah. Now, these people wanted to know, we asked them a ton of questions, and we're like, what's your day like, right? So we went over their days. Like, how much time do you have available per week or per day to do this?
Yep.
Some people have 3 hours a week. Okay, so now how can we create a consistent program?
Like a consistent output
that you can create and publish within those 3 hours a week that you have, and then let's test it out for 30 days, 60 days. See how it does. Test out, because if you see the results, you're probably gonna be doing more of that.
Yeah, and again, going back to the last podcast that we recorded, that we talk about the 45 Live, that was our minimum viable content for a while, right?
Yeah.
And it was the minimum viable content for us for 20 days until we got an influx of clients, and they were like, oh, feels like too much, right? And now it doesn't mean that you have to stick to that one framework forever, right? Like, situations change. So now the time that we have to dedicate to the content is different. Yeah. So we created a new minimal viable content strategy, which is
this guy right here.
That you're looking at it right now.
The Big Daddy content that we're creating right now.
The Big Daddy.
We're not gonna get the Big Daddy. Now I have two stories to share with you guys. So one is one of our clients. His name is Tanner, right? And he reached out to us, and he was like, guys, I'm about to do 21 interviews. I'm going to spend a ton of time creating this content. I want to be able to use it, not just for the product I'm creating.
Yep.
So he had the resources to go hire a team, which he came to our company, and that's what we do for him now. But interesting enough, right? He doesn't have branding. He doesn't have like a call to action yet. He doesn't, but he knows the importance of content, and he knows the importance of staying consistent, right?
And those are things that you can build while you publish, while you stay consistent with your minimum viable content, right?
Exactly. So for him, he wants to be present every day in a couple of networks, right? Mm-hmm. So we established a strategy with him where we're going to be able to achieve that, right? So we're about to start giving him that output for him to stay consistent every day of the week. And one of the things that surprised me was when we were having that onboarding call, he's like, guys, they're paying us to do this, right? And he's like, I need accountability.
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that, because in one of those calls that we had before to help people establish their own minimal viable content, I had a call with this one guy. He was a gym owner, and now he does like CrossFit events across the nation.
Yeah.
And he was telling me like, dude, I know the importance of publishing. I mean, we've been doing it. It's obviously a hassle for us and XYZ. But he's like, but I pretty much need like a content coach. You know, he's like, I need someone that helps me stay accountable. And we were like, whoa. Like, I mean, at the same time, minimal viable content, that's what it helps you stay accountable, because it's realistic. You know, hey, I can do this. I'm not going to go into the content thinking I need to do 20 pieces of content in the next 30 minutes. Because we all know that's not going to happen.
Think if you ever play sports, right? Think how many times you were not happy to go to practice, right? For me, it was a lot. Right. And I was able to play soccer here in the States in a D1 school, which was super awesome. But it happened because I had a coach next to me. And sometimes that accountability is probably the best way to stay consistent. Right. And that's what Tanner was kind of circling back to him. Right. He's like, guys, like, I need somebody to keep me accountable, because I need you guys, like, I'm paying you money because I know that money is so much valuable for me, like to me. that I'm gonna actually pay attention to this content thing because I know it works, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be a team like us. It can be your business partner. It can be your audience, right? Tell them that you guys are gonna be publishing daily, right? We are telling everybody here that we're actually gonna go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah. So the accountability is with you guys.
With
watching.
you guys, with the audience,
or listening.
and then this content triggers other stuff that's gonna start to come out as well.
Yep, correct.
So I thought that was kind of cool. Our other friend Ryan, he's actually in a coaching program with us, right? We're telling him our 45 live story, and he has gone above and beyond with this thing. He was like, he started inviting people for his Facebook lives. He told everybody that he was going live, and it was funny. Yesterday we were actually in this like group together, and he posted. Somebody posted a question about how are you guys doing through this, crazy time with the COVID-19, and he was explaining how he got this influx of business because of his Facebook lives and staying consistent. And it wasn't until day 20, guys. It was not day 1. It was not day 2. It was like day 20.
That seems to be the mark.
The mark, day 20. Yeah. So Ryan, my man, I am so excited and happy for you. I'm hoping you can share the results and share your stories with the audience soon.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Drop them in the comments.
Yeah. All right. So I think the last thing that people struggle with.
I mean, usually it is. We're saying it's the last, but for people it might seem like the first. Yeah. But it's time. You know, a lot of people say, I don't have the time to do it, right? I don't have the time to stay consistent. And that's what we're talking about. Establish the output, establish the time that you can give to this, and be honest. Be honest, because it's the only way you can stay, true to the minimal viable content strategy.
Yeah.
So I think we have a story about how time has helped this one company, right?
Yeah. So, and this is crazy. So, oh, wow. Look at this. Hold on. Ryan says triple business in a week. Ryan, my man.
That's awesome. Yeah. The applause. Oh, no, that's not the applause.
Hey, there we go. Dude, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that with us. I'm glad you are tuning live.
That's cool.
So thank you for sharing, man. Congrats. Keep doing it. So I hope that motivates people that are listening or watching right now to start publishing consistently, right? So anyway, so this story, the last story that we want to share with you guys, he is the CMO of a $200 million company, right, that we work with. And he came to us, or he came to the team with a very specific problem, right?
And just to clarify, this guy had been working in content marketing for the last year for his company.
Yeah.
And so you can tell that this guy is pretty consistent, right? Like he was going all in.
Do you remember how much time he was investing a week in his content creation?
I'm going to guess 20 hours.
He was investing 20 hours a week as a CMO in his content creation. So right off the bat, he's pretty committed, right? So he did this for a year. I need to know his frameworks around productivity and how to manage a team, because if you're investing 20 hours in just content creation, like that's amazing, right? Obviously he believes that content drives traffic and drives the sales and things in his business. So he came to us and he's like, guys, like I'm a little lost, right? I don't know where to go because I need my time back, right? I cannot do this, but I do believe that this is the solution to the problem that we have. And we're like, perfect. So we sat down with him and we told him, he told us a little bit of the output that he wanted and the specific way that he wanted to create that content. And we agreed that it was going to be a show of 1 hour, 30-minute long show that he was going to be releasing once a week, right? Together with our good friend Pablo. So Pablo. Now, he's like, okay, how much time do you need me like to make that happen? And we're like, we only need you about 4 hours. And he's like, 4 hours a week? And we're like, no, we need you for 4 hours a month. And he's like, what? I heard like the phone drop in the phone call.
He's like, what?
So and yes, and it's because we put a lot of effort in the planning, in the before, in the how this is gonna look,
in creating that minimal viable content, right? And I mean, for them, it's a Facebook show produced, 3 cameras instead, mics.
Yeah.
It looks big, but that's because they have the capacity to do that. Your content doesn't have to be 3 cameras, 8 lights,
Yeah.
Just a phone. And trust
Just
me,
a phone.
I was stuck in that place for the longest time. I think one of the main reasons I didn't publish at all before in the last 3 years, it was because I wanted to start always perfect. I was like, no, I don't have this. And then when I would get a camera, I was like, oh no, I need a mic now because the sound needs to be good. And
those are nice things, but are not necessary.
Exactly, they're nice things, but are not necessary. And honestly, it sounds sad, but that's probably one of my biggest regrets is actually not starting to publish 3 years ago when I knew I had to do it, because I told myself, I'm like, wow, where would I be?
Yeah.
The amount of growth, the amount of exposure that
we talked about
years.
Starting this podcast how long ago? Like
a
year
ago. A year ago.
Yeah. A year ago.
No, now it's a year and a quarter.
Year and a quarter, so specific. But yeah, so guys, I mean, and look, now we're publishing, and yes, we do have some equipment, not the best equipment. It's just it makes it nice. But keep in mind, we were publishing from our phones, and we still are, our Facebook Lives every day.
Yep.
Just the phone, and that's it. And sometimes I get home and it's 10 at night, and I'm recording my Facebook Live in the dog park when my dogs are pooping. Right? So nothing sexy. And guess what? Business has come from that. Just like Ryan said, he triple business. Around week 3, which is amazing.
People that care about what you do and that they connect with you and that they know you're serving them and helping them find a solution to their problems, they're gonna listen. Whether they like your videos, whether they comment on your videos or not, they are gonna be there and they're gonna listen.
I'm gonna throw another piece of motivation there for you.
Ooh.
The copyright guy.
Oh, Jim Edwards.
Jim Edwards. This is a guy that makes millions of dollars in his business. He's a copyright expert, and his podcast or his show is in the chicken coop.
Whoa, it's like mornings with Jim and the chickens. Something
mornings
like that.
with Jim and the chicken, and this is hilarious, and that's him, right? So don't be afraid of showing your personality, because people want to work with you, right? People want to work with your attractive character, right? If that's the person that you want to put on screen.
I think I heard it from Steve Larson. He said people come because of the topic, but they stay because of you.
Exactly.
And you know what? It's very difficult to be you on camera the first few times that you do it.
I mean, look at us now. This is super awkward.
But the more you do
and if
it...
you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go to YouTube and look
just
how
watch
awkward we are.
But yeah, the more consistent you get with your content and your publishing, the more you're going to be able to show yourself in the actual platform.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be able to connect with more people. The problem is that people start publishing, they notice they're awkward, they notice people's not resonating with their message, maybe they're not commenting or anything, and they give up and they never learn.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it comes to, we need to learn how to fail, right? And just keep pushing.
All right, guys. So I think we rambled enough today.
Yeah. I mean, let us know in the comments if you're watching on Facebook right now. Let us know in the comments, what did you learn about the minimal viable content and how you can use it in your business? We would love to hear it. If you are in Spotify or any other podcast platform, send us an Instagram DM at BIZBROSCO. Again, BIZBROSCO. And just send us a DM and tell us how minimum viable content can play a role in your business.
Yeah, and if you have been doing it, tell us how you've been doing it, because we become obsessed with these frameworks of content creation and strategies, right? But more than likely, it's the first step for a content strategy to work is to actually publish.
Yeah.
So super excited.
Before we close down here, I think this is my last thought for the evening. And it is that, every single time I would sit to create content, I would have to put so much mental capacity into that moment, because I didn't know exactly, how am I going to do it, or what am I going to create today? Yeah. And now with these frameworks, minimal viable content, already knowing what the output looks like, I just got to pretty much fill in the blanks. Is so much easier, because I go into it and I already kind of know what the outcome is going to be. So it takes, it's difficult to describe until you try yourself, which I am expecting you to do it. but it takes way less energy.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was a tough one. Way less energy.
So if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out in any of the social media platforms. You can find us at BIZBROS Co, BIZBROS Co.
Yep. Pretty much everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere. Again, if you're listening on any podcast platform, you can reach out as well with any questions you might have.
Yep.
If you go to contentisprofit.com, there's going to be a field there that you can put your number one question, and we are happy to help you with those frameworks. And
we'll
how to
send you a nice little video. Maybe we'll use the Power Ranger helmet too to send the video.
Yeah. So challenge, guys. Challenge. Okay? Sit down right after you listen to this episode or you watch this on YouTube. Sit down and calculate how much time you have available in your week to create content. Now, today, as we are recording this episode, is a perfect time to do that. There's a ton of time available in your day.
Do it now. It'll take you literally like 5-10 minutes. Again, check on the time that you have available and think of an output that you think is going to be relevant for your
example,
audience.
Time. I have 5 hours a week. Example, outcome, I want to publish 4 times a week. Going a little step further, what is that content going to look like? Is it going to be 4 videos? Is it going to be 4 pictures? And then once you decide that, then you can go, what am I going to talk about in my videos? Right?
Maybe you can even go as far as creating a framework of how you're going to structure your videos, which, side note, that's exactly what we do with this podcast. Yeah. We have a structure that we follow. So again, it's like fill in the blank every time we're going to hop in the camera.
That's right, guys. All right. So with that being said, I am so excited. Thank you guys for those tuning in. Thank you guys for those that are listening to the podcast.
Go like, comment, subscribe, review, whatever you want.
Send us messages on how much you love FONZI's beard.
Thank you. You can slide in our DMs.
And with that, guys, we thank you all.
And we'll see you on the next one.
I'll see you on the next one.
All right. Bye.
All right, hit it.